We've loved receiving the art that you've sent in to us and everything that you've created over the weeks. Thank you for sharing.
Hi, welcome back to Art Studio in a Box, week 4.
We're so glad that you could join us today. We're gonna get started here. Lorena, what are we gonna be making today?
We are going to be creating painted rocks inspired by the book Only One You and stone artist Akie Nakata. Let's get started.
All right, so I'm gonna go through what you need for your materials today. You are going to need your rock. You will need acrylic paint, and you got quite a few little tubes of acrylic paint. You will need fine-tipped paintbrushes and cotton swabs. And if we put them in your kit, you'll also need makeup sponges. You need a pencil, and you need a Sharpie. From home, you're going to need a cup of water, a paper towel to dry brushes with between colors, and scrap paper to brainstorm ideas for your design. You may also need, or you can also use some clear nail polish if you have it at home.
Since childhood, Akie Nakata has loved collecting stones. She began her stone paintings in 2011 while taking a walk along a riverbank. She encountered a particular pebble that looked like a rabbit. While some would pass by a rock or a stone, Akie sees their potential. Akie takes ordinary rocks and paints them into realistic animals that fit in the palm of your hand with only acrylic paint and tiny brushes. She makes tiny cats, dogs, and frogs magically appear on the rock. Akie loves to paint the eye on last and considers her work complete when she sees the eyes are alive and looking back at her. She states, "To me, completing a piece of work is not about how much detail I draw, but whether I feel the life in the stone." Only One You by Linda Kranz. Look at all these beautiful messages on the inside. It says, play, be enthusiastic, appreciate what you have, be open-minded, love with your whole heart, collect something. Only One You. It's time, Papa said. I think it is, Mama agreed. Time for what? Adri asked. Papa's voice softened to share some wisdom. Always be on the lookout for a new friend. Look for beauty wherever you are and keep the memory of it with you. Blend in when you need to. Stand out when you have the chance. Find your own way. You don't have to follow the crowd. Know when to speak. Know when to listen. No matter how you look at it, there's so much to discover. If you make a wrong turn, circle back. If something gets in your way, move around it. Set aside some quiet time to relax and reflect every day. Appreciate art. It's all around you. Make wishes on the stars in the nighttime sky. Thank you for listening, Mama said. We hope you'll remember. Papa winked and whispered, we know this is a lot for you to think about. Adri did a backward somersault and smiled. He was excited to go out into the world with what he had just learned. Wait for me, he shouted to his friends. Before he swam away, he turned back to his parents and said, I will remember. Mama kissed Adri on the top of his head. There's only one you in this great big world, she said. Make it a better place. The end.
I love the message and illustrations of that book. Today we're going to be creating our own unique fish. Then you will later find a nice spot outdoors for your fish. Leave it there for someone to find and take home. We hope it will brighten someone's day. Let's get started with making our own one-of-a-kind fish. All of us are unique because there is only one you. All of our fish will be a reflection of that idea. First, I want to look through the book to see how the fish were painted and to get some inspiration.
I'm going to draw some of the things that we see. If you have your scrap paper at home, you can follow along and draw some things too.
All right, so let's take a look through the book. Oh, look. This fish here has a heart. That would be a great shape to draw on your fish. I'm seeing some stripes and some wavy lines. And this one here has clouds. Ooh, this is a really pretty fish. This one has flowers on it. Oh, and some of the fish on this page have swirls on them. I see polka dots and zigzags. We got some really good ideas from the book. Now let's create our fish rock. You're going to need your paintbrushes, your cotton swab, your paint, some water, a paper towel, and your rock. Now to start, you're going to choose 3 colors. One color will be for the face, one will be for the body, and the other one for a stripe. You may use a pencil to make a stripe. This will help you separate the head from the body. So you're going to start by picking a color for the face. So this is going to be my face. So I think I'm going to pick red. Once you're done painting that part, make sure to rinse your paintbrush in your cup of water, and you want to dry it with your paper towel. It's important that the brush is not wet when painting the 3 colors on the rock, or they'll run together. So as you're painting each color, you can stand up tall to see the top of the rock, and you can crouch down low to see the bottom edge of the rock. Without turning the rock over, you should be able to paint the surface that you see. and you might need to add a second layer. And it takes about 20 minutes for the paint to dry, and then you can add more layers on the top. Now pick a different color for the stripe. I'm gonna pick yellow. So now you're going to pick a color for the body. So if you have color on your paintbrush, dip it in the water and dry it off with the paper towel. Pick your third color and paint the body. So for this part, you can stand up tall to see the top of the rock, as I mentioned earlier, and crouch down low to see the bottom edge of the rock to make sure you got the paint on.
Once the background paints of the fish's body have dried, you can start painting your patterns and lines and designs on the fish's body. And a white circle for the eye. I'm going to use a Q-tip to do my circle for the eye so that it can dry while I'm painting my designs. All right, so for the designs, remember some of the ones we saw when we were looking at the book? I'm gonna start by putting some designs on my fish's body. I've got some colors here in my palette that I want to use. So you can choose to use your fine brushes. I'm gonna choose to use my Q-tip to start here because it's gonna give me more control. I want to start by putting some polka dots. See, I've got a polka dot and I've got a zigzag. I might want to do a couple little swirls, and for this I'm going to try using my brush because I want to see what the difference is. So once your white paint has dried for your eye, you can add another little circle in the center of the white for your fish's eye color, and you could use a traditional eye color like brown or green or hazel or blue, or you could add any color you want for your fish's eye color. I am going to make my fish's eye color purple. And you want to have it to be just inside of the white. There we go, and you give that a few minutes to dry. All right, so while that's drying, we're gonna talk about making your fish's lips. You can see on the cover of the book here, these fish have little lips that kind of look like, what do they look like? Do you see? They kind of look like hearts. The lips might be the trickiest part of the fish, so we're gonna practice those. So if you can practice on your scrap paper, you want to do a little heart and then a line like this for the lips. Once you've done that, it's time to put your lips on your fish. So, I'm gonna use my Q-tip here. You don't want to have too much paint on it, so if you dip it in and it's too much, just roll your Q-tip. Go this like a little heart and come back. Once your eye has dried, you can put a little black dot of paint in the center of your eye. To complete the eye. And your fish is done. Now you want to give your fish time to dry, but once it's dry, there are a couple finishing options that you could choose from. So the finishing options that we mentioned that you could do when your fish was dry are to do the details. If you want to outline your details with a Sharpie, and the other thing you can do, and you can do one or both of these things or none of them, is you could seal your rock. If you have some clear nail polish at home, you can use clear nail polish and apply a coat of that over your dry paint to make your rock shiny.
Once your fish is dry, we're going to ask you to do something very special. When you go out for a walk with your family, bring your fish with you and find a special spot for it outside. Leave it there. We're hoping that someone will pass by the location, see your fish, pick it up and take it home, and it'll bring a smile to their face.
So if you enjoyed painting your rock and you enjoyed learning about Akie Nakata and how she finds inspiration from the rocks that she finds outside, we have a little bit more that you can do. You could go for a walk and try to find some inspiration from the things around you. So the first thing that you could do is just try to find some animals or shapes in the clouds that you can see in the sky. If you look up, maybe you would see a dragon or a boat or a bird in the shapes of the clouds as they drift by in the sky. And that's one way to start kind of seeing shapes in things that you're looking at. Sometimes when I go for a walk with my parents, they look for faces that they can see in the knots and the branches in the bark in the trees. There's all sorts of ways to see things in the shapes and nature around you. One of the other things that you could do is find another rock and see if maybe, like Akie, it shows you an animal that you can see in the shape of the rock. So for me, when I picked up this rock, and turn it and hold it a little bit, this rock to me looked very much like an owl with the two eyes there. So I might want to take this rock and try and paint it like an owl. The other thing you could do is with the fish rock you already made, or other rocks that you might make, you could use the back, or you could make a new rock and do things like write messages on them for people to find. So we saw some of these messages in the book. Or you might want to say, I'm glad you found me, right? Because somebody found your fish rock. You could put all sorts of messages on a rock for somebody, maybe even just hello on the rock that somebody takes home from you. right. Keep an eye out for our Facebook post. We would love to see a picture of where you left your fish rock.
And this is our last video tutorial. Thank you for joining us every week and for sharing your artwork with us. Goodbye.
Goodbye.